Yes, well, back with you. Hello again. Jim Burns. What we got going on here today is some work on a Lionel Electro-coupler. And you can identify those by this coil of copper wire behind the coupler itself. Now there's a hollow tube at the center of this coil of wire. And within that tube, there's a spring here, just a compression spring, a plunger, which when activated will push the coupler open, and then there's another spring on the knuckle pin right there. Alright, so both of those springs were broken. This one has been repaired. I bought a group of these in various stages of disrepair, knowing I could get quite a few good ones out of the bunch. So the ones that are too far gone, I'll just use as parts. Okay, so this is the second one I've repaired. Yeah, just, this one needed the wheels cleaned and oiled. And like I say, this one had two broken springs. There's one back here, it was broken in half, the compression spring, and the knuckle spring on the pin. And then on the underside of this type, there's a slide shoe here. It's kind of springy. There has no actual spring, it's just the copper contacts bent in a way that keeps pressure down on it. So when it slides up on those activation rails of the USC track, that's this puppy right here. These are the activation rails here. They're amongst the 3 rail. And then this is an electromagnet for the type of trucks that do not have the coil, such as, might as well show you that right now, such as this one. There's nothing on the underside, no slide shoes, no pickup roller, nothing. There is what they call a button. This is right there, that's metal. And this is a tab coupler, they call it, because it's got a tab sticking out. So you can do it manually. If you push down on that, it'll open the coupler. So thusly, okay, but you can also get it onto that electromagnet right there. Let me turn the power on. That'll help. And there you go. Opens up. So that's that style of truck. And it just pulls that plunger down that's attached to that button underneath. And that's all you need for that. That's that style. So then here's our electric coupler. And that slide shoe rides up onto one of these energizing rails. And when you push the uncouple button, there you go. It's nice and quiet, smoothly operating. There you go. Works real nice. Now, parking it over the electromagnet has no effect. It won't do anything. So it needs that one of those energizing rails down in here. And it'll work in either direction because there's these energizing rails are everywhere there along this track piece. So then what we have on the underside, well, I showed you the sliding shoe, but this is also a pickup roller style for light or whatnot. But that has nothing to do with the electro-coupler. So our worry is that the slide shoe is activating the coupler and all the wires are hooked up. And then if you see here, there's the coil. It's soldered to this copper contact there, which is also part of the slide shoe assembly. See if I can get you a good look in there. Coupler's making it focus. There we go. You can see it. Let me do it with my hand. There it is. See that copper moving up and down in there? That just keeps downward pressure on the sliding shoe so it's not flopping all over the place. And it keeps a good pressure down on the activation rail. Okay. Once again, there's our coupler. And if you look down in there, you can actually see the plunger sitting down in there. And behind that is a coil spring. Okay. And I'll show you a different style of truck here. This is one that came with that group, but this one here, it does have a slide shoe on it. It's got a wire connected to it there. Now what this style is for is like the milk car that Lionel made, where it like a little guy comes out and pushes the milk cans out of the door. But I wanted to show you this because this gives you a good idea what it looks like on the inside as that slide shoe is moving. Those copper fingers there are keeping it pressure on it, so it keeps it down. But now on that style of car, you'll have a slide shoe on either side of the car. So one slide shoe will be on this rail here as you pull the car in, and then the truck on the other end of the car will have a slide shoe, but it'll be on this side over here. Alright, and then you push the unload button on the controller here, and it'll activate the little guy and he'll push out the milk cans. But both trucks have to be on this UCS track in order to work. Okay, for that. But the coupler style, we only need that shoe on one of the rails to open her up. Okay. So let me grab my tools here and we'll start taking this apart. I'll show you what's inside of this little puppy here. Okay, here we are. I pulled everything apart, and you know, to disassemble all of this, all it takes is pulling the knuckle pin right out and all the pieces will come out. So there's our pin. It's still in good shape, so we'll reuse that and pin it over when we're done. Got our new knuckle spring there. Get that installed. Here's our, let me pick it up with this, it's a little easier. There's our compression spring. That sits behind the plunger. We'll just leave that on there because I'll need that. And then there's our plunger. Both sides are the same, no difference. You can put them in either way. but got this one nice and clean. Okay, this might be a little better. I put some more light on there so you can see things, not so dark. And of course, here's our the hand from the coupler. You'll notice this side has the indentation where the knuckle spring will sit. Little indentation there. Bottom side has no indentation. Okay, so that's that piece. And then if you look down inside the disassembled assembly here, you'll see there's the tube down in there that contains that compression spring and the plunger. Okay, and then what I do to get these pieces all cleaned out, that tube anyway, is I take my moto tool, I cut off a section of Q-tip, chuck it in the drill there, in the chuck it in the chuck. But anyway, yeah, and then you can just insert that down inside, turn it on, and then it'll clean out whatever dirt and debris is in there. You can see it's cleaned it out pretty good. You don't want anything inhibiting the movement of the plunger, so you got to keep that area clean. So that's why you don't want to use the fuzzy end. You want to cut that off because you don't want a bunch of hairs in there that can catch oil and debris and just gum up the work. So it works quite nicely. You just push it right in there. Work it around. And that's it. That part's clean. Does a good job. These are the cardboard Q-tips, the paper stem. The real Q-tips, I guess they're called. But anyway, yeah, just cut that fuzzy end off. Okay, that's enough of that. So now we'll get to reassemble this. Let me put it back in position here as good as I can here, so you can see. Try to get the best view. I know my fingers will be in the way and my knuckles and everything, but we'll have to deal with that. Okay, so on this one, the very first thing we need to do is insert our spring down inside the tube there. Just like that. It'll just drop down inside there. There it is. Okay. Then the next piece is our plunger. Just drop that down in there. That'll seat itself in onto the spring. Okay, and then actually the most difficult part here now is putting the knuckle back on, getting the hand situated along that spring. So we'll put our pin in thusly. Just so it's sticking through there just a tiny bit, not a whole lot. You can see the position of it there. Not fully inserted, just a tiny bit sticking out, and that'll hold our knuckle spring. Okay. Try to zoom in here a little bit. Okay, see if that works. Put a little bit of grease on. This is our gear lube. It's a little bit sticky. It'll hold our spring. There we go. Okay. Let me get my tweezers here. Grab our spring. Now we want the 90-degree part pointing to the bottom of the truck, and we want that long arm inside. Oh, I dropped it in. I thought I lost it. I did. There it is. Quick recovery. Okay. So what we want to do here is get it onto our pin. I know I'm kind of in the way here, huh? I'll try to move. Hard to do with these hands, but we'll see what happens. We want the long end going into the body of the coupler. Okay. And we put it on our pin. Now we're going to move everything back out just a bit, just so the spring is shown thusly. Okay, just like that. Okay, now we're going to take our hand. Let me get it situated the right way here in the tweezers. Okay, there's the indentation I was speaking of. You can see that. There's none on the underside. Okay, let me get this back out a little bit. So we're just going to slide this into position. Hold everything still. push on the pin, get it started a little bit into that hand. I know I'm all kinds of in the way of the shot, ain't I? Yeah. Okay, I'll push that down in there. And you'll actually hear it click once it's in there. Okay, you see our pin still sticking out here. And we can kind of work that pin back down into the coupler, or through the hand, or the knuckle. There it goes. And it's popped through the other side. If you can see that. We still in focus? Yeah. Okay, there's the underside. And there's still enough sticking out that we can set that rivet. Actually, it's not even fully seated yet. Hold on. Yeah, that's better. So you can see there's still enough sticking out that we can pin that over with our punch. Right there. So now this spring is ready for action. All right, let's put it on our UCS track here. Everything's in place. And if we did everything correctly, it should work. There it is. Okay. How's that? Very good. Another truck repaired, another coupler repaired. So all in all, it's not that difficult. And like I said, the trickiest part is putting a knuckle back on. As long as your coil is good and you have everything cleaned, it should move pretty freely. And it does. And then if I put a little drop of oil on the pin from the side here, that will dilute that sticky grease. And you'll have a nice operating coupler. So, but there it is, folks. It's all set. Ready for operation. Okay, I hope that helps. Very good. I'll see you on the next one. Toodles.